So what I was actually gonna attend for the sixth video today was gonna actually be a Power Platform or Power Apps introductory video, or even just a behind the scenes like a experience with it, because I haven't properly or even directly made a video about Power Apps and Power Platform yet on this channel, other than the ones I made last year when I was doing the tutorial on Udacity. But I wasn't already doing that when I was getting back into it this year, and I was like, I didn't make as much direct content about what I was doing and even showing what I was doing. And I would be able to do that because it was actually my stuff, technically with their tools, Microsoft tools, but my stuff. So but it was like, as we basically, the sixth video was gonna be about Power Platform, and I was gonna like go into the editor and Windows Share for more 11 and be like, okay, I'm gonna screen record this and just make this video. And technically, right now, that's just still be easy to do. The difference about that though, and what this video topic is gonna be right now, is that actually makes it hard for me to do, because even if it's easy to do, it could still be a hassle. And it's like, the thing is that there are people in my own life that don't still understand how I feel about stuff like this. Not just with content creation. It's like, it's with anything else. It's like, it's with being observed feeling criticism when I'm being observed doing something that I don't mean to word it like as if I don't want to be watched or be observed to do something right. Is that there's numerous assumptions that can be made about me whenever I do anything, whether I'm being observed or not. And it's like, that could be for another video apparently. But as for this video, we're gonna talk about spoons. And spoons. We're gonna talk about spoons and what it takes for me to do anything, whether I have the energy or just a lack of discipline or whatever. We're gonna get to pretty much a good circle of that if we can. But just I'm not gonna stop in front of the webcam, but yeah, we're gonna at least get into a little bit about spoons. I just said that at random, but I kind of mean it though. So I just basically, when something costs spoons, and this is not just to describe this in terms of like the spectrum or anything like that. This could be for anybody apparently, especially if we think about the spectrum being more and more apparent in real life for everybody, apparently, because everyone's got some form of another disorder. But that could be, again, another video. Yeah, but basically, when something costs spoons, it means that it costs more energy than you expect it to, and it costs energy that you could still calculate pretty well with enough experience. But you still have to make sure that you're taking care of those spoons as its own. It's kind of reality, but it's just, it's being careful with your energy, even if you have enough of it to use. And it's like or even plenty, but just being careful with it is still a good thing to do. So it's just my webcam's acting out of whack. Yeah, I did not think that. Okay, whatever. Anyways, let's just see like down the curtains. But it's usually, I don't think anybody has to see this as a perspective. I know people who will disagree with spoons because they know that that energy isn't infinite, but it still sounds like a BS idea that people would have spoons or take track of their energy. But it's good to keep track of your energy even if you don't have an expenditure of finite resource. Even if it's not like that, you still easily keep track of it. I think it's like, for me to like take a while to do anything, and people have been good about telling me that I'm not actually slow. When I say I'm slow, that I'm not actually slow. And it's good on them to encourage me like that, to tell me that I'm actually a really efficient person. I'm grateful for them to say that, whether it's true or not. I believe them anyway, so it is true that I'm not as slow as I think I am, or not as inefficient. I do believe I should probably be confident enough to believe that I'm an efficient person at this point, even if I could be doing a little quicker on certain things. I could manage that over time, but being more faster with certain things, even if it's not under pressure for other ideals I've talked about before, which is not forcing myself to do certain things I didn't actually intend to do. And that can again get into family and friends and strangers and enemies, all that. But so not pressuring myself to do things I shouldn't be really be doing, even if people think it's a good idea. I should have already been doing them. It's a lot of struggles and negativity that I can get to later. But it's just basically, when something usually costs me too much attention or energy to do, I either feel like I have to do it anyways because I don't have something to prove, which gets into all the other stuff I just said like seconds ago. Having something to prove or having closure. And it's like, it's usually those two things. If it's not those two things, then it could be also that I just want to make sure that I could actually do it. And not to prove that I can do it, which gets into the first thing apparently, but to see if it was an option I actually had. Not just to observe that option, but prove that it was real. So by doing that, it proves that it's real, basically. But that sounds a little facetious a little bit, but hear me out. It's like, well, actually, I don't know how to explain that right away, but I gotta get super sure what I mean. But like, It's when things cost me too much energy and attention, I don't. It's okay to be like just like everyone else in a certain extent, I guess, or maybe even completely. But whenever I feel like I'm someone who thinks that he has this extroversion and ambiversion, oh, I'm an extrovert, I'm gonna prove I'm an extrovert, so I'm gonna do something about it and do something and not hold back on it and not make excuses about it, I guess. Even that sounds too real for me. There's another video I can make about reality and my connection with it in another time maybe. But it's like with making sure that I can actually have the energy to do something and actually doing it, I can be grateful for not doing it because there's plenty of times where I'm not pressuring myself, like I said before, not pressuring myself and not being too much in a hurry all the time, or most especially not being constantly on edge, which connects to the other things I said before about proving myself and having closure, not being on edge about even not having enough closure. I know I can have more closure than people think that's possible, but not having to push myself to think that I have to be on edge and prove myself all the time. People think that has to be like that. But when I explain like that to them, I particularly mean not to offend them, and the other thing is offensive either. But it's like, but then they bring on these other issues and things that have nothing to do with that, or they think is relevant to that. And it's like, dude, I say this for a reason. I don't say that I don't want to prove myself all the time because I don't actually need to prove myself. It's because that's how it feels when I'm in the middle of these people who think that I have to be doing these things, or if I don't do them, that it won't be any better. If it's not necessarily like that, or even out of context, even then, it sounds confusing coming out of my own mouth, but it's like these are the pressures I come from. These are the struggles and pressures I have with family and friends sometimes, apparently. Even actual friends I have that still trying to not offend me, and it sucks that they treat me like that because my friends really do care about me, and they don't want to offend me. They know I'm sensitive, and I know I'm sensitive sometimes, but and even sometimes I'm not actually being sensitive when people claim I am, apparently in friends and family circles. I'm not actually being as sensitive as people think I am, but there are most other cases I have been sensitive. And even when not being sensitive, when it's being claimed like that, it's like it's a never-ending cycle of like wondering if people have the context or not. And then you have my other mentor figure friends who are like, well, this is why I told you about communication. It's like, why do you think I told you about communication? It's like, well, to that I say, yes, I know communication is important. I know that sometimes I've been a bad example of that communication, but not only is my communication decent most times anyways, if not way better than yours. I'm not going to brag about that too much, but my writing could be yay or nay, and those ways, like 50-50, I guess. Not to 100%, I guess, different ways. 50% time really good, 50% time not as good. How I define that being different, maybe being wrong about that, whatever. But the reason I particularly don't want communication to be too much of a mission is not only because of my philosophies with communication that prevent me from making it as good as it could be, which is a back and forth thing between whether I should actually improve it or at least learn it as a skill before it's a lifestyle, and then it becomes a lifestyle anyways, which doesn't have to be a mistake, I guess. It's not just about my philosophies about communication, it's also about the pressuring. This goes back, full circle back into spoons. It's with the energy and discipline I have for certain things. As much as I feel, like I said before, that I want to prove that something can actually happen in reality and that I can actually have it as an option that I observe as a plan, it's not just to prove that I can do something about it or even to prove that the option was there. It's also to hold back and see if I can not pressure myself too much about certain things. Whether the energy is there, whether the action is there, whether the reality is there, whether the actual problem is there. Of communication or of socializing, or those are kind of similar, but those are just some of the examples. But like spoons, in the context of even saying like making another video about power pops and power platform, it's not me being lazy. It's not me being indecisive. Not at least not right now yet. It will be over many other times anyways. But like, it's not so much being lazy or being overthinking or even just being like a defeatist, I guess, or being negative or being pessimistic. It's me actually trying to manage my energy differently. Not so much focus my energy. That could be different. That could be a contrast. Because focusing my energy could be something like where I just choose to limit what I do with the energy and still put on areas that deserve it or even prioritize it. Because priorities still makes me cringe. The idea of self-exploration and self-improvement eventually started to make me cringe because of how my other friends, especially my ex-crushes, made me feel about that over time. And I was like, damn, that's what they were doing and that's what I technically was doing. I don't want to do the same thing with my enemies or crushes, ex-crushes, if what they do with the good things or even the concrete objective good things is still leading them to betray me and especially make their lives worse in other ways. And I'm like, but that's just me being contrary, fine. I made a video about that before, by the way, but yeah. If that's me being contrary, then fine. Or hypocritical, fine. Or contradictory, fine. But it's like, still, it's like, when I use my own energy in lieu with how I see other people using their energy. I don't have to be contrary and just be like, okay, I won't use my energy because they're using it poorly in the first place. I could use it and be a better example of that. I could be a better example of what they do with their energy and prove to them, maybe not having something too proved all the time, but also being someone who can actually respect themselves a bit by doing things with their energy without having to blow it out of proportion all the time. But that's just me though. If it comes with any other means of having more energy because of no frequency retention, or because of just having more energy because I actually prove I have that energy, which could be awkward, mixed feelings with that maybe most of the time, unfortunately. But so I'll make that power platform video over time if I want to. Maybe not right now, but maybe over time. But in the meantime, this will be the 6th video of today. This not to only be these 6 videos for the rest of the day. But if I make more videos, it's not so much for the upload them and wherever I can make myself. But yeah, spoons.